wrong people. Most American Jews idolize Zionists. Most Israelis idolize Zionists. Little do we know that the Zionist, the original Zionist, Herzl and his friends, are worse than Haman. Haman wanted to kill the body. Herzl and his friends wanted to destroy Judaism. Now, before everybody starts hanging me, instead of Haman, let me give you some proofs. Once a person looks into Zionism, he'll find some very famous names. One of the names is Chaim Azaz. Chaim Azaz was one of the biggest philosophers or authors in regards to the Zionistic movement. And he writes the following in the Machazeh Adrasha. אין היהדות והציונות דבר אחד הם, אלא שני דברים שונים זה מזה, הסותרים זה את זה. Judaism and Zionism are not one thing. In fact, they are two completely different things that contradict each other. Judaism, Zionism contradict each other, he says. כשאדם אינו יכול להיות יהודי, הוא נעשה ציוני. When a person can't be a Jew, he decides to be a Zionist. הציונות מתחילה ממקום הריסת היהדות. Why? Because Zionism begins after Judaism is destroyed. היא לא ההמשך. Zionism is not a continuation of Judaism. היא ההפך ממה שהיה. Zionism is the opposite of what Judaism is. אני מאמין שארץ ישראל זה כבר לא יהדות. I believe, he says, that Eretz Israel is not Judaism. He is a Zionist. Nachman Sirkin would consider in Merashep, he's one of the heads of Poalet Zion, one of the heads of Zionism, would continuously make fun of Judaism, calling Zionism the light and Judaism the darkness, and a holy war between the two. That they have to spell Bekol Kochot Ashachor V'Azadon Alalu. כתבי נחמן סירקין, הוצאת דבר, תר"ש צדיק ט. About 100 or so years ago. Now, Zionism, so you don't understand, is not a problem with religion. I used to always think that Zionism was pure communism. It's not. Yevsektia is pure communism. Zionism is not a anti-religious movement per se, all the time. Zionism is an anti-Judaism movement. Why? We go to another one of the famous Zionists. The author Yosef Chaim Berner, who in 1921, איש ההנהגה בתחילת 1921, גם השתתף בוועידת יסוד ההסתדרות הכללית. He's one of the ones that was in the founding of modern day Israel, or the Zionist movement. What did he say? He says the Brit HaChadasha, the New Testament, is our book. הברית החדשה, ספרנו היא. The New Testament, that's our book. עצם מעצמנו, it's from us. It's like from within us, the New Testament. בשר מבשרנו, this is meat, this is like flesh from among us. יכול אדם מישראל להיות יהודי טוב, מסור לנאומו בכל לבבו ונפשו, ולא לפחד מפני הנצרות. A person can be a good Jew and not have any fear of Christianity. Like it's some trefa. אדרבה, להתייחס אליה ברטד ונפש דתי. Opposite, you should treat it as if it is his religion. He wrote this בספרות ובעיתונות הפועל הצעיר, חשוון 1910. This will also be published in our Alona Kodesh, so you can see all the sources again. Now, if this wasn't enough, Rabotai Yekarim, Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Am Yisrael, in Parashat Shalach. Parashat Shalach, he says that if you're going to try to destroy my Jews, if you're going to try to destroy my Torah, I'm going to take personal revenge on you by destroying you and everything that has to do with you. Where is it written? It's written in chapter 15, verse number 30. בתוכם תורה אחת יהיה לכם לעושה בשגגה, והנפש אשר תעשה ביד רמה מן האזרח ומן הגר, את אדוני הוא מגדף, ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מקרב עמה, כי דבר אדוני בזה, ואת מצוותו הפר, יכרת הנפש ההיא עוונה בה. I'll just read the end, chapter 15, verse 31. For he scorned the word of Hashem and broke his commandment, that person will surely be cut off, his sin is upon him. Dvar Hashem baza. That's the big famous words. A person disrespected or scorned the word of Hashem. Now, who are the people that scorned the word of Hashem? Let's see what happened to them in history. One of the founders of the Reform movement, his name was Moshe Mendelssohn. Yimach Shemo v'zichro. Now, Moshe Mendelssohn, most people won't like that I say Yimach Shemo v'zichro. Why? Because he was a Jew and some people consider him religious. But he coined the phrase that you should be a Jew in your house and a person outside. Now, Hashem didn't really like this expression. So out of his children, let's see what happened to him. He was the beginner of the Askala, the Enlightenment movement. Reform, conservative, all the garbage. So let's see what happened to Moshe Mendelssohn. Moshe Mendelssohn, he considered himself religious. 4 of his sons converted to Christianity. 4 out of his 6 sons converted to Christianity. And 9 grandkids. Only 1 out of his 9 grandkids remained a Jew. His grandkid, Dr. Arnold Mendelssohn, eventually became a Protestant, and then after that a Catholic. Meaning that ultimately, in his lifetime, all of his seed was destroyed, completely removed from Judaism. Baruch Hashem. Now, this obviously shows that he in his own house his own belief didn't really work out so much. Now, what about his students? One of his students was David Friedlander. Was born in Kingsburg in 1771, and he was the friend and main student of Moshe Mendelssohn, that after Moshe Mendelssohn died, he in essence took over. And in 1799, he sent a letter to a Protestant priest by the name of Teller, William Teller. And it's publicized. That he's suggesting to him that him and several heads of families, of Jewish families, are ready and willing to become Christians. So here we see Moshe Mendelssohn's belief of being a Jew in your house and a person outside not only didn't work out for his own house, but even his students eventually gave up everything. Next one is Echad Ha'am. Echad Ha'am was a person that also, again, had a lot of the thoughts about Zionism and so on. And his opinion about Judaism was as follows: יכול אני להחזיק באותה הכפירה המדעית הנושאלת אליה את השם Darwin. He says, instead of believing in this religion, I have no problem believing in Darwin. have no problem believing in science, that we all came from, survival of the fittest, monkeys, amoebas, and so on and so forth. Why? Because he called Judaism a tragedy. Judaism as a religion, he called it a tragedy. לא רק בצרת היהודים יש לעסוק, כי אם גם בצרת כל היהדות. So he made fun of Jewish, חרב חינוכי הדתי, he made fun of Jewish education, yeshivot, and so on and so forth. And he wanted to make sure that when the Israel became a country, became a state, that there would not be any Judaism, any religious studies whatsoever. His daughter, her name was Rachel, decided to follow her father's footsteps, and also not to deal with the tragedy called Judaism, and to run away from it. So she married a journalist, Michael Ostrogin, who wasn't Jewish. But Echad Ha'am didn't like this so much, and he called that a tragedy. And he said that because you married a goy, you're cut off. I don't understand. You call Judaism a tragedy. What's the problem if your daughter marries somebody that's not a tragedy? So you see that some of them are hypocrites, to say the least. But this, he lost his daughter, obviously his daughter did not continue Judaism, and therefore he lost his seed and his ability to continue in the world. The famous one is Herzl, Benjamin Zev Herzl. In 1892, he wrote that he prefers that all of the Jews would convert to Christianity. And he says in this letter to Benedict, Maurice Benedict, יש לי בן, הייתי מעדיף להתנצר היום או מחר. כדאי שתקופת החברות שלו בנצרות תתחיל מוקדם ככל האפשר. He had a son that he didn't circumcise him. And he says, I prefer that my son would convert right now, today or tomorrow. So his whole life starts off the right foot. אבל אינני יכול לעשות זאת משתי סיבות. Like he himself can't do it right now. His father was still alive apparently. That's the first reason. The second reason, ושנית, אין לנטוש את היהדות כל עוד היא קיימת. So it doesn't make any sense to publicly disown Judaism so long as I can take advantage of it. When people are going against it. I can get money from donors. I get, political support. We just have to be patient. יש ליצור תחילה מצב של סבלנות. ואחר כך להעביר את כל היהודים כגוף אחד אל הנצרות. We have to be patient, and after we get everything we want, we'll move all of the Jews, bar minan, to Christianity. This is, he writes in the letter to Benedict. This is much worse than Haman. This is in Kitvei Herzl, chapter 2, Yoman Aleph, page 14. Herzl himself would celebrate the Christian holidays, would make sure that his children would celebrate and pray the Christian prayers. And he is celebrated today as if he's the greatest Jew ever, because people look at his beard instead of his actions. Now what happened to Herzl? What happened to his family? His wife, Julie, died at age 39, 1907. Looks like it was a heart attack of some kind. His oldest daughter, Paulina, was a promiscuous woman to a very high extent, apparently, to the extent of she was hospitalized. She kept getting married and getting divorced, eventually ran away to France, where she became a morphine addict and died at age 40. His son, Hans, born in 1891, didn't have a Brit Milah because obviously his father Herzl did not believe in it. But at 15 years old, after Herzl died, the Zionists figured, you know what, we got to make this kid the next leader. He's only 15, but he's going to be the next leader. So let's pretend he's Jewish. So they convinced him to get a Brit Milah at 15 years old. Well, you get a Brit Milah, you get 5 Brit Milahs. Doesn't make you Jewish, though. Just a procedure. Doesn't make you Jewish. Following Torah makes you Jewish. Brit Milah is a procedure. So his Brit Milah only hurt, but it didn't make him any more Jewish than he was. And he became a Protestant, and he became a Catholic, and he became a Baptist, and he became a lot of different things. Eventually he wanted to become a Jew, but he found out that his sister Paulina died, so he killed himself too. And then the youngest daughter of Herzl, Truda, she had the only grandchild that Herzl had. She herself, as soon as she gave birth, went to a mental institution. And the Nazis didn't like people that are in mental institutions, so they killed her. And they just decided to not feed her. And she died from starvation, 1943. The only grandchild that was left is Stefan Theodor, who decided to join the British Army and called himself a Brit. He did not call himself a Jew or Israeli or anything. And he was very, very successful in money, but apparently that wasn't enough, because in 1946 he went to Massachusetts River and he jumped off the river. Jumped off the bridge. Jumped off a bridge in Massachusetts. November 1946. So, Chachamim say, look at this. Herzl was the probably most well-known Zionist there ever was. And most people, even to this day, live in Israel, live in America, learn about Zionism, do not know what I just read to you. I learned Zionism in Binghamton University. Not a single word that we just read was in any of the books. Why? Because this is actually from their letters, from their writings. Who reads their letters? Who reads their writings? You read what the teacher tells you. The teacher tells you what the book tells you, and the book tells you what the Zionists want you to hear. They don't want to tell you that Herzl wanted all the Jews gone, like worse than Haman. They don't want to tell you that in reality it was an anti-Semitic movement. They don't want to tell you that. They just want to tell you, no, they just weren't religious. But there's religious Zionists today. No, they just confuse people today. Because the religious Zionists don't actually know what Zionism is. Religious Zionism today has nothing to do with the original Zionism. Religious Zionism simply today means you support Eretz Yisrael. Bottom line is, if you don't support Eretz Yisrael, you're crazy. Not Zionist, not Zionist. You're just a simple crazy person. Why? Because there's 6 million of our brothers, or 8 million of our brothers and sisters that live there. How do you not support it? You want them to do good. That doesn't mean you support their heretical government. It doesn't mean you support the secular mentality and the garbage education they have over there. But of course you support. You don't want them to die. You don't want them to be taken over by terrorists. It doesn't require you to be a Zionist to do that. It requires you to be sane. But the problem is, today we learn in school that Herzl was a great person, and his holidays and his statues and his streets all over Eretz Yisrael with his name on it, with his statue on there, everywhere. You look at his picture, he looks like the biggest rabbi in the world. His beard was nice and long. Little do you know, the guy was worse than Haman. To such an extent, the Chachamim say, even in the Torah, Herzl is there. Where is Herzl there? Exactly where we read. We just read, Ki Dvar Hashem Baza. Right? Dvar Hashem Baza, that someone that desecrated the Torah, someone that scorned the Torah. Chachamim explain, Dvar Hashem Baza, Baza, scorn, Bet, Zayin, Hey. Bet, Benjamin, Zayin, Zev, Hey, Herzl. Benjamin, Zev, Herzl. You score in the Torah, you'll be written in the Torah. Just as someone that Hashem is going to destroy. Pasuk just for you. Pasuk just for you. Midah keneged midah. You try to destroy Am Yisrael, Hashem destroyed everything that has to do with him. Only thing that's left of him is statues. His buddy, Max Nodo, or his real name was Shimon Simcha Maximilian Ziedenfeld. He was a buddy of Herzl. He hated Judaism to such an extent, just like his buddy, that he didn't even want to marry a Jew. So he married a movie star, a Christian movie star, Anna Elisabeth Dunz. And guess what? When he died, she didn't even keep his name. He didn't have any kids with her, nor did she continue his lineage or even keep his name. He not only did not have children, but he didn't even have a name left in this world. So you see, Rabotai Yekarim, Torah Kedosha is not a simple document of history, chas v'shalom. It's a letter of instruction from Hashem. If you do good, you get good. You do bad, you don't do. You're obviously going to get in trouble with who? With the worst of all. You're going to get worse. You're going to get in trouble with Hashem. Now, the biggest